Man, you can see how fucking sunburned I am from where I was out canvassing in Gibraltar. I have to say it was an absolutely lovely place, but it's too hot for me. Although, honestly, when I retire, I'll probably do it there. It's lovely. Assuming the Spanish didn't get it. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent. I haven't uploaded much to this channel because I'm a bit busy, but I'm sure you've been seeing what's going on in the news recently. It's getting kind of wild out there, and I do feel kind of like punished Sargon. And so when PewDiePie puts this video up, I'm just thinking, man, if I think it's bad for me, it's probably 10 times worse for this guy. And so basically, it's kind of a call for empathy for PewDiePie, because I know that there are people who are annoyed that he's bending the knee to the media or perceived to be doing so. And I think it's worth remembering that he pretty much, he's probably going to have a small team around him, but that's not going to be enough. He's not part of an institution. He is the institution. And I know this because Sargon is the institution. And it's quite tough when a lot of people come for you at once. But I don't think he ever expected anything like this either. Like, I was particularly and, very well prepared to be a political target. I have been really for some time because I'm a political YouTuber. But PewDiePie isn't. He's a guy who does gaming, who made it big. No one like PewDiePie should have existed, really. But he found himself with this kind of reach, I guess we'll call it. So you can hardly fault him for not wanting to stand against the combined forces that would be effectively the political class of the world, because that's what he would essentially be standing up to when it came down to the sort of metal hitting the meat. If it wasn't for the Christchurch shooter doing what he did, then it probably wouldn't be the problem. But that is exactly his problem, unfortunately. It's the fact that the Christchurch shooter said it. And it's just like, I think, Pewds, if you ever watch this man, right, I'm sorry. That's, honestly, it's such a shitty thing to do to someone. And any other guy who does that in the future, it's such an awful thing to do. But, no one actually thinks you're connected to it. Only the morons who are trying to hurt you think, and they don't even think you're connected to it. They just like to act like it because it hurts you. They don't really think that. I can promise you that. No one thinks that, man. No one thinks you're even vaguely responsible for this, because none of your messages ever come across like this. Any jokes you've made have been obvious jokes. Don't let them make you think they haven't. And yeah, these guys are evil. They are just evil guys doing evil things. They are not the heroes. But it's not your fault, man. So I made some notes as well. I'm just going to check, because what else did I have to talk about? Yeah, you don't need to disavow the shootings, man. It's assumed that you would. I know I'm sounding like a dick, but I don't even think the worst of the leftist journalists will assume that if you don't say anything about it, that you are tacitly in favour of it. Even the worst of them wouldn't do that. I would hope. About keeping the videos blocked in India, man, I wouldn't if I were you. I don't. T-Series haven't done anything wrong, but, there's no reason that your video should be blocked in India just because they don't like it because you're, poking some fun at them. I don't see the problem with that, but that's your choice, I suppose. But don't you think it's a bit of a weird thing that you had to say that you weren't a racist or a bigot, like the subscribe to PewDiePie, the whole thing? It was so international, and yet it's something you have to say. And doesn't that just speak to the problem of the modern age? Like, everyone gets accused of stuff that's obviously not true. Nearly 100 million people are watching you, and they don't think they're watching a racist. So when some lefty journo says, oh, this is racist, 100 million people disagree with them, man. They already disagree. They already don't think that. And so when they say it, it's like, well, there's 100 million people say, well, don't be stupid. And then you've got random people who are like, well, why would so many people be watching just this racist guy? We have to start remembering that they kind of look ridiculous when they give us their opinions on what racism is, because their opinions on racism are dumb. really, really, really dumb. And it comes from the fact that they've redefined the word racism. And so they're just wrong, you know? So you don't have to disavow anything. It's not, you're not a racist, and you don't have to say these things because nobody really thinks them. It's all part of a political attack in order to keep you dancing to their tune. Effectively, they're like the prison guards walking along a line of prisoners and whacking them on the back of the legs to keep them in line, when being expected. It's, they're the moral prison guards of society. You didn't do anything wrong. I mean, honestly, right? Of all the people to get any kind of large-scale movement behind them, man, I think the internet at large is lucky that it's you, because you don't tacitly dog whistle to go out and hurt people or anything like that. You're very, very feminine. You do a lot of charity. You're obviously a man of fine character, and so it is genuinely upsetting to me to see you be attacked like that. It's like, because I know, man. I know what it's fucking like. You can see the past few days. They'll come after your character with absolutely everything they've got. So, and you've got to really defend yourself from that sort of stuff, because there are a lot of people who agree. There are a lot of people who know that you're not like this. You've never shown any signs of being like this, as far as I can see. I've been watching your channel for a couple of years now because you've been politically involved, shall we say. And, I watch every now and again, like, when I'm like doing the washing up or something. If you've put a new video out that day, and if something not that, I find interesting and not you playing a video game, I don't mean to be rude, then I'll watch it because you're funny, And so it's just like, I don't know, man, you haven't done anything wrong. So I think it's just important to remember that you're not the bad guy here, because I know that they will be going out of their way to do everything in their power to make you feel like you're the bad guy. But really, it's them that are doing this. It's not fair to do this to someone. To take the most uncharitable interpretation of anything that's happened, then plaster it around the world and try to get you defunded and censored and just have your name dragged through the mud. It's not fair to do that to someone, any individual. And these people are institutions. So they're always hiding behind the institutional sort of facade that protects their personal reputations, because it's the institution we talk about rather than the writer itself. But you are the institution here. And so, it's a different dynamic. It's a different world, man. It's a different world. And you know what's been happening to me? I've seen so many people who don't like me at all, politically. You go, okay, yeah, no, what is happening today is disgusting, and it's obvious lies, like what happened to you with the Wall Street Journal. Obvious lies, obvious misrepresentations. Just, it's character attacks. And thankfully, the people who watch, like, YouTubers in general and independent content creators become familiar with their character. And their character really matters when you're an independent content creator. People don't want to follow scum. They don't want to follow scum. They don't care, they don't want to support that, because people are generally good. And unlike the people who are opposing you, you believe that too. They think that the people that watch you are basically scum and can be primed and triggered to become scum at any minute, which is why they're so concerned about Nazis. They're so concerned about, like, any hint of racism, no jokes, nothing like that. It's such a weird pathology. It's insane that they think the world is just going to become racist. And the thing is, I think it probably will, just because they're pushing so hard and being such Puritans about the issue, that I think they will start making people just really resentful and, like as a sort of course of a reversal, just start thinking, well, maybe it is them that are the problem or something like that. And I really don't want that kind of shit to happen. And I think, more of these events are going to go on. And I think that there's no chance they won't have some roots on the internet, because that's where the information is being really exchanged now. So we have to start accepting that the internet is also real life. And that means we can't just pretend that the things that journalists are doing to people on Twitter and in their publications aren't also important and don't also do damage, because they do. I mean, look at Pewds, this is a happy-go-lucky guy, and he seems rather not happy-go-lucky. So I feel like I'm rambling a bit now, but it is a very difficult thing to have these things are arrayed against you. And whenever you see anything like this, they would describe it as punching down. They would describe it as punching down. They would describe themselves as being the bullies, because I really do think they are. I mean, PewDiePie isn't a bully. He doesn't go around and go after people. So it's not fair. Just saying. Anyway, good luck, man, and I hope all the best. Just a quick addition onto the end of this, actually. I think it's also something to be careful of about giving things to the Nazis. Because that's kind of what you're doing when you stop something because the Nazis did something, no matter how bad it is. I don't think they should factor into your considerations, primarily to help them be forgotten. Because I agree, the prominence of these things keeps pushing them to the fore, and then they'll keep, getting other ones to get in on it. If they think it's not an effective tactic, I don't think they'll do it, because I think they really are trying to be heard. And I think that's what they think is a way of doing this. And if you don't mention it and just ignore it, I think that's a stronger way of preventing this happening in future. I'm not saying it's your fault for, not thinking about this or anything like that. But I do think that is actually true. I think just ignoring what these people are doing and don't let it affect your activism, your campaigning, your entertainment. Sorry, I'm thinking from my own perspective there. But your content, your quality, whatever it is you want to do. I think that's a stronger, like Oscar Wilde said, the best revenge is leading a good life. And I think that's what you would be doing. And I don't think you should let those evil people spoil it for the rest of us. Because there's no doubt that that is an evil thing to do. I just want to make it very clear that's my opinion, and it kind of taints the other people doing it. If it kind of makes it seem like they've done something wrong too. In a small way, not in a big way, but in a kind of But anyway, just an extra thought, man. Take care.